In this video lesson, we will be looking at factoring trinomials. Now, this is the trinomial that we'll be looking at specifically. It is these three terms. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, the a, b, and c are important. The a represents the coefficient or the number with x squared. The b is the coefficient with x, and then c is our constant. Okay, so we're going to look at factoring this specific trinomial. Now let's just briefly review the idea of factoring. This says, what are the factors of 24? Okay, so this should be a review, but when we talk about the factors of 24, what numbers do we multiply together to get 24? So we know we can multiply 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6, okay? Well, these numbers, because we are multiplying these numbers, these are the factors of 24. We're multiplying them, okay? Well, let's think about our previous lesson. When we multiplied this binomial times this binomial, and we used our distributive property, again, just as a quick review, we do x times x and then x times 8, and then we did the 3 times x and the 3 times 8, okay? Well, when we did that, we ended up with these terms, and we combined the two middle terms, or the like terms, and we ended up with x squared plus 11x plus 24. So these two binomials that we multiplied together gave us this answer. Well, that means these are the factors of this trinomial. Just like 8 times 3 is factors of 24, then this term, x plus 3, and x plus 8, these binomials are what we call factors of this trinomial. So really this lesson is actually about working backwards. We're going to take the answer that we got after we multiplied these two, and we're going to work backwards and get to the binomials factors. Now you should notice these numbers 24, 11, 3, and 8. They definitely are in common. 8 plus 3 is 11, and 8 times 3 is 24. And that's what we're going to have to work on today in order to do today's lesson. So I'm going to give you a strategy. We can call it the X game. Okay. What we do is we draw this X here, and we're always put the value, we're going to put the value of B at the top, and then we're going to put the value of A times C at the bottom, okay? Then what we're going to do, and we'll get some practice here, we're going to find the numbers, the factors that we can multiply together to get this number, A times C, and that we can add together to get B. So you'll see in my next couple of examples how we do that. All right, so in this first example, we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. All right. So this is our trinomial, and we're looking for the two binomial factors that gave us this trinomial. So we're going to play the x game here. All right, so we have the x. The number that we're going to find at the top is the b, the 5. We're going to put a 5 right here, and then we're going to put a times c. Now, a is always going to be 1 in this lesson, so 1 times 6 is 6. So we're going to find the what we're looking for is two numbers that multiply to get 6 and that we can add together to get 5. Just as a reminder, I could put a dot here for multiplication, and then up here we're adding them. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the factors of 6. Let's just think about it. Well, we have 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Well, which set of these can we combine or add together to get 5? Well, it's going to have to be 2 and 3. We could do 6 minus 1 to get 5, but if we have to multiply them to get a 6, then it has to be 2 positives. Okay, so it's going to be 2 and 3. So for this one, we're going to be using 2 and 3, okay, again, as our numbers that we can add together to get 5 and multiply together to get 6. Well, because we have 2 and 3, then the way we factor this trinomial is simply to put those in the parentheses. So we're going to start with our parentheses and our x. And then we have one of the terms is plus 2 and the other is plus 3. So we just include that. So x plus 2 and x plus 3. So these are the factors of this trinomial. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, so our trinomial is x squared minus 8x plus 12. Again, we're going to play the x game. So this is how you set this up. Okay, we're looking for the numbers that add together to get negative 8 and they multiply together to get 12. Remember, the 12 is 1 times 12. This lesson will change. In the next lesson, there's going to be a number here, and we multiply that. That's what we get down here. Okay, so now the multiples of 12 that we can add together to get negative 8. Let's just start by writing down our multiples of 12. So we have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Well, if you look at these combinations of numbers, obviously there's no way we can turn a 12 and a 1 into an 8 by adding or subtracting or adding. And there's no way we could turn 3 and 4 into an 8 or a negative 8. But we can do that with 2 and 6. Now, if we multiply them, it has to be a positive 12. That means it's either both positive numbers or both negative, because 2 negatives equal positive. And of course, if we're adding them together and we have to get a negative, then it's going to have to be the negative. So what we're going to be using is a negative 2 and a negative 6. Sorry, negative 6. So then when we actually write down our factors, our binomial factors, we have our x minus 2 and our x minus 6. All right, another example. Again, x squared plus 2x minus 5. And this one, the b is plus 2 and the c is minus 15. So let's start with our x game. The number we're putting at the top is going to be the positive 2, and the bottom is negative 15. So we're looking for the numbers that we can multiply together to get negative 15 and add together to get 2. So let's start with our multiples of 15. 1 times 15. Now I know this is a negative 15, but regardless, I'm just finding the factors right now of the number 15, okay? So 1 times 15, 2 does not go to 15 evenly, 3 times 5, and that's it. 3 times 5. So when we look at these, obviously 15 and 1 will never be able to equal 2 with addition. But we could use 3 and 5, because we could say 5 minus 3 or negative 3 plus 5, because one of them has to be a negative, because when we multiply these two terms, if we get a negative answer or a negative product, then one has to be negative. Well, if we add them together and it has to be a positive 2, then our bigger number would be the positive. So we're actually going to end up with a 5 minus 3. Because 5 minus 3 is 2, and 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So again, when we write our factors, our two binomials, we have our x plus 5 and our x minus 3. And it doesn't matter what order you write these in. These are the factors. And when you multiply them using the distributive property that we learned previously in a previous lesson, you get that answer. Okay. One more quick example. X squared minus 2x minus 8. This is where the b and the c are both negatives. Let's set up our x game here. We're going to put the negative 2 at the top, which is the b term. And we're going to put a times c, 1 times negative 8 down at the bottom. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to get negative 8 and that we can add together to get negative 2. So the factors of 8 are 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. So we're going to need to be using 2 and 4. We can combine 2 and 4 to get a negative 2. Okay? It's actually going to be negative or 2 minus 4, or negative 4 plus 2. I'll just write it as 4 or we'll write it as -4 plus 2. -4 plus 2. So when you multiply these, you get -8, and when you add them, you get -2. So our answer, then when we write our answer as the binomial factors, we have a -4 and a +2. And that's your binomial factors of this expression. All right, and that's a lesson on factoring trinomials when the a value is 1.